Spirit Airlines basically said, hey, we're out of business as of Saturday, no customer service, everything else shut down. And so, a big blow to a lot of travelers. It's a budget airline. An airline, predominantly down in the Southeast for those flights. And, they've been struggling ever since the pandemic. Really, they've filed for bankruptcy twice since the pandemic. A lot of people are saying it has to do with the higher fuel prices. That's not going to put an airline out of business in a short period of time. Right?
No, America's lower back thanks them.
Right.
It's due to all of that, right? It's uncomfortable. Service is pretty poor. Seats, they're cramming an extra 48 seats on an airplane. There's
it's just a budget option, right? It's a bare bones
big hub in Dallas
option, and so and I think that everything is, when it comes to consumer behavior and it comes to consumers having choices, some people are going to pay for premium choices, some people are going to pay for budget choices. One of my favorite guys that I consume a lot of his stuff, mentor of mine for a long time that I paid for a lot of his coaching, is Dan Kennedy. And he says, if you can't make money being the cheapest game in town, there's no inherent value in being the second cheapest, right? And so you should probably go toward the premium. Obviously at Vodyssey, the things we're talking about is getting our unfair share of business operating toward the top of these markets. So our business model is different. Spirit Airlines was saying, hey, listen, we're going to be the cheapest option. It's a race to the bottom. The consumer just beats you up over price, and there's just razor thin margins. In this case, there are no margins. And, they were trying to get those, they tried to do a merger that got shut down because of antitrust, things back when in Biden era, back in 2022. In the Trump era, they're asking for a bailout. They're saying, hey guys, we don't just have $500 million sitting around to bail an airline out. So ultimately shut the doors. And,
what's interesting, Sean, they're tying this into what we were just saying before about rates and occupancy, right? Is a host, you price out bad behavior. Right? A lot of times your worst behavior are your cheapest guests. And those that are looking to scam or, get something over on you, they don't want to pay top dollar. The entire reason they do what they do is because they don't want to pay top dollar. So if you're able to give them an immersive experience that puts you above and uncomparable to others, you can price out most of the bad behavior in these horror stories that you see. Spirit Airlines is that, or was that, right? Basically, all the Instagram videos you see a JetBlue holiday or whatever, it was always them or Spirit, and it was like budget shoppers having bad experiences because of the clientele you were bringing in, right? And if you didn't price out bad behavior, you gave a budget option, but without the option to be able to control that, right? And that runs the consumer.
Yeah, and it's, those budget options are, it's always funny when, I was reading up on the merger, that got shut down between them and JetBlue a few years back. And, the biggest argument was that, saying, well, you're going to remove the price, routes are going to decrease, rates are going to go up. We're going to remove all these things that people like about Spirit Airlines. Well, the consumer and the marketplace is unforgiving anyway. So if the rates had to go up and the routes had to go down, that's better than ultimately shutting it down altogether, saying, the government officials saying, hey, listen, if companies want to merge and they have to merge to be efficient, there is economies of scale and all those different things. I'm not an airline operator, but just being a capitalist at heart and watching consumer behavior and what happens, you're like, hey, listen, the marketplace is going to pay what it's going to pay for a crappy option, which to be really clear, these are crappy options in the airline world, but it might be what somebody chooses. We have crappy options in the short-term rental world. We choose not to be part of those options. We say, hey, listen, it's really, really hard to make money in that game. And so we say, we're not going to do it. Somebody wants to make money in that game. They have to strip everything down to bare bones. They have to be extremely efficient. And if they can, the marketplace is going to reward them. If they can't, they're out of business. And I think that's what happens with the Spirit Airlines. They're a small fraction of the airline travel overall. Like they're a sliver of the actual percentage of actual airline travel. So I don't think it affects I really don't think it affects the actual tourism industry too much. Those other carriers are going to pick up the bag and then pick up those fares, and people are going to go travel on the Frontiers, the JetBlues. There's I think that there's like a poly market or something going on that says that there's about 75% chance those are going to go out in the next couple of years, just because there's just not, the margins aren't there for them. And so does it get more expensive to travel with an airline? Yeah, it does. But why do you think we like those drive-to destinations, right? And so it's, Jake just showed me Spirit Airlines accounts for roughly 4.5% of U.S. domestic airline travel. So it's not a large enough percentage to matter as far as making a difference or a dent in our short-term rental, the tourism industry, all of that stuff. In my opinion, somebody else is going to pick that up, but it's business 101. It's like, hey, listen, we've got to figure out what the consumer is willing to pay for in the absence of value, and in the absence of more legroom or checked baggage or nicer planes or, all of those different things. In the absence of that, the consumer's judging you on price, and it's just a race to the bottom. And that's a really, really tough place to play. And it 100% applies to our business, short-term rentals. It applies to really every other business out there. And our opinion is, and the reason I think it's good to talk about this, not necessarily that it affects the tourism industry as much as the way we look at our business and the way we choose to operate our business, like Dan Kennedy said, if you can't make money being the low price leader, you can't be a Walmart. There's no inherent value in being second lowest or third or fourth or in the middle. Go for the high side, right? Go for the premium. And that's what we're really trying to do. So